199. Yes, after 199 days, India begin their quest for the World Cup. Rohit and company will be looking to fulfill the dreams of 1 billion people. And you know, as a host, I am supposed to be neutral, but I can't contain my excitement when India begin their campaign. And when I'm at Cricbuzz Live, there's double the excitement because I have my favorite people to talk to. I have Mr. Dinesh Karthik and Mr. Harsha Bhogle. Not only my favorite people, but also the two nicest people I have met in a very long
Just
time.
a moment.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Just a moment. Joy, she just said we are the two nicest people she's ever met. So happy working with Saiyami.
No, I will come back for Joyda once he comes in.
But very interestingly, you got your retired status has now been embellished. She called you Mr. All along, I was the only one who got Mr. And you were like DK and whatever, and I was like this Mr. So.
No, but that's the cue I've gotten from Harsha sir, that I have to call whoever
DK
sits
sir.
next to him, DK sir, Mr. DK. So
Joy
you'll be
sir,
DK sir,
like
Joy sir. Yeah.
Nice.
Thanks, ma'am.
That's what I've been told to do.
It's been a good start to the World Cup.
But talking about good start to the World Cup, I think, you know, the IPL, we got you in only towards the last two games, but almost the second half of the IPL, all the discussion we had was what's India's 11 going to be, who's going to play at 3, who's going to open, who's going to make it. I think today we finally will get those answers.
Yes, hopefully. And hopefully it'll be a good start because we've been close but not quite for a while now. So hopefully it'll be a good start. I'm not expecting a huge amount from this game. You want to go and win this game? I think this game is crucial from many factors. You win this game, you're into the next round. Mm-hmm. Really, I mean, this is not to belittle USA or Canada, but if India hope to win the World Cup and look upon USA or Canada as tough competition, you're in trouble already.
Correct.
But if you win this, then it doesn't matter what happens in the rest of the game. Because you're preceded into the next round. Every team is preceded. There've been a few people who are saying, oh, India get the games they want, India get the semi-final they want. It's about viewership. It's not about anything else. So if you win this game, then really you're done. And India have never lost to Ireland before. Mm-hmm. So I just want them to have a nice opening. I want Rohit and the others to get back into form, on the bowlers to be in form. I'm looking at it from that point of view.
But DK, hopefully we get off to a good start. But we got those graphics coming in, and there was 2007. We were the champions. The memories as a college kid, you know, that bus, that open air bus that came in. I was there at Wankhede, screaming, shouting.
There's three of us. There's three of us at the Wankhede.
So you know, just the memories, DK. Yeah. So like you. That flying catch you took of Graham Smith, Misbah, the bowl out, so many memories. And since then, it's just been, ye dukh kahe khatam nahi hota. Because it's just been, you know, great teams on paper, but not winning the tournament. Just heartbreaks.
It's been hard. And add to that we have probably the greatest tournament domestically, IPL. And that adds even more pressure because every year there are new cricketers coming out. Every year we feel like we have a stronger bunch of cricketers representing the country. But still, winning an ICC trophy is a completely different ball game. And India has been found wanting in that. Every year we start the journey with the hope that this year is going to be different. And actually, this year is actually going to be different, mainly because we're playing in a venue to start off, which is very, very different to what they would have played anywhere else. And I just hope that it's a good journey. But I can tell you one thing for sure. The team that plays this World Cup and the team that represents India in the next T20 World Cup will be completely different. Yes. So we are going to see a few people probably moving on from this format. But for the moment, here is a great opportunity for them. Some have had a good time in the IPL, some not so much. All things said and done, they walk into this World Cup with mixed feelings. You know, they need to get off to a good start for various reasons, for things on and off the field, and hence today becomes a very tricky day for Team India. Today is the kind of day that can be a little tricky, and they need to just cross this hurdle. You're going to say something?
Yeah, no. Go on.
And yeah.
No, I just said only one point I disagree with what he said. He said every year new people come into the IPL. I said no, there are some people who come back year on year and do well. So.
Well, there are people who come year on year, and we've seen Rohit Sharma, who's been coming on since 2007. I think he and Shakib have been the only ones who've played all the T20 World Cup. So,
yeah.
But you've spoken about it. You've said that this kind of tacky, tricky pitch that we are going to be seeing? The experience that India has probably will add to the prospects, you think, or do you still have mixed feelings?
I just think that when the conditions get more difficult, the better players stand out a little bit more. So if batting conditions become difficult, then your skill comes through even more. If you're playing on a flat deck, short boundary, 230 game, you require a different kind of skill. I'm not saying there's no skill required. It's a very different kind of skill. But if you're playing a tricky 140, 150 kind of game, I remember one game India won, would have been 2016 playing against Pakistan in Kolkata, 120 kind of game. Pakistan made 118 in 18 overs. In those games, the really skilled people come through. Virat Kohli came and did really well in that game. So I just think 140, 150 games are tricky games, but the really classy players will come through in those. Having said that, I hope this track is very, very different from what we saw in that Sri Lanka-South Africa game. That wasn't a great commercial for launching cricket in New York. But this is the same surface on which 180 was scored. So
And
in a warm-up game, and Rishabh and Sky got themselves in. So I'm hoping it's that kind of surface.
But like you said, the South Africa-Sri Lanka game was not the correct endorsement, and that's kind of what Rohit said at the toss. India have won the toss and they've decided to field first. Rohit said that they don't know what kind of conditions they're going to get, which is why they want to know what target they have to chase down.
Fair call. Look very overcast. And it's been a tough start to the World Cup in New York. Even the practice match, I think India batted out of their skins. If you'd watched Bangladesh closely, they struggled a lot. The ball is swinging. And the pitch has a very spongy bounce. The problem with spongy bounce is you can't get your timing right. You're so ingrained to, as soon as you see the ball release, you decide what the shot is. With spongy bounce, that becomes, you have to delay that process by, we're talking about microseconds, but the better players, what Harsha was talking about, have the ability to delay that process of committing to a shot, and that helps them succeed a lot better. And hence, I feel India are better suited to win this game if they don't lose early wickets when they're chasing. If India don't lose early wickets, we should canter through with whatever they score, but that is the only thing. The problem in these kind of pitches is the 120 to 130 kind of bowler becomes a lot more venomous. Even in the South Africa-Sri Lanka game, Nokia actually picked up 4 wickets and just gave 9 runs. But if you did watch closely, Otniel Bartman was the toughest one to play. He was seaming the ball in and out. And to play those kind of bowlers becomes very hard. And Ireland don't have anybody very quick, apart from Josh Little. They have Barry McCarthy, who's just there and thereabouts. And Mark Adair there and thereabouts. And those kind of bowlers can be very tricky to play.
It's because of the spongy bounce.
Spongy bounce and a little bit of seam movement. So that becomes a little harder. Our real batsmanship needs to come through. But for a start, India will be looking to make sure they'll use the overcast conditions and try and skittle them out for as little as possible.
Yeah, I saw a stat, and people get all kinds of stats these days. Only 2% of, or something like that, balls that Ireland have bowled have been over 140. They don't have 140 plus bowlers. But it'll be a very good test for India to see how we play Josh Little, because in the next game, you're likely to face 2 left-hand quicks.
Yes.
And for a couple of our players at least, the stats change when you're playing against left-arm quicks. They're much better off playing right-hand quicks. The stats change when you're playing left-arm quicks. So actually, it'll be a really good chase. You're playing against someone like Little. He's played in India. He knows these players. He's played the IPL. So yeah, I'm looking at it from that.
And it's happened to me a few times. When you finish an IPL and walk into a World Cup, it is you don't actually carry too much of your form into it because it's a completely different tournament. But the feeling of deja vu in terms of how you feel when you walk in is still there. But what happens when you play on tough pitches like this? After playing on belters in smaller grounds, when you go to a bigger ground which is harder to hit on, mentally you need to stay very strong to be okay with not hitting boundaries. But
how easy is it to switch considering you've just come out of World Cup? Because I think that coming out of an IPL, because I think the 3 times that India have been knocked out in like the Super 8 or Super 12 has been when they've just come out of an IPL. So is the switch tough?
It is. It is very, very challenging. And that's why I say, when people say, oh, the IPL has gone really well, so, that player will go on and do something special. It is very different. That's why Virat Kohli is so special. And, the challenge is to be able to tune your mind in such a way that you're able to completely switch off from what you've done and start afresh. And that people sometimes, what they do is they just take what they feel is form into that tournament, bat similarly, but it is very different conditions, very different ground. In New York, I feel the challenge is actually fielding a lot more. It is a lot of strain on your calf and hamstring because of how soft it is. At the end of the day, it's just a makeshift ground, with a lot of beach sand that's put on it. So, your body gets that much more tired. So you have to focus a lot more on recovery. Smaller things like that. And those are the challenges. It might sound trivial when we speak about it sitting here in the studio. But when you're in the thick of things, these are very, very important 2%ers or 1%ers.
In fact, that game that we saw, Sri Lanka, South Africa, there were 4 fours hit. That's it. 4 sixes and 4 fours. Only 4 fours were hit. And honestly, when the ball was traveling on the outfield, it felt like when we as kids were hitting the ball, when we thought we were hitting it very hard, but the boundary seemed 200 meters away. The ball was going that slowly. So I think India will just have to be very careful how they field, because the last thing you want is an injury on surfaces like those, on outfields like those. So I think we need a pitch report, which we got from Sean Pollock and Ebony Rainford, but we also need an outfield report.
Well, let's quickly have a look at Ireland's playing 11, because we have it ready. We've spoken about India, we've spoken about their prospects, but Harsha, DK, this team is no pushover at all. They have the experience, they've been qualifying since 2009, so they know what to do in the World Cups.
Paul Stirling, he's been around, plays for Middlesex, solid player, has been around for a long time. Balboni is their best batter. He's been the most successful batter in the cycle. Lockin Tucker is a very, very capable batter, wicketkeeper, who plays around in leagues as well. Harry Tector did very well when I toured Ireland just a couple of years ago, batted beautifully.
Yes.
The key there is George Dockrell. He's a very fascinating cricketer. He started as a left-arm spinner, and today he's a middle-order finisher who bowls very little spin. And he's been very good at what he's done. And if you see the bowling, if they can bring up the thing, Josh Little is obviously everybody knows him because of IPL. There is Barry McCarthy, who bowls in swing, who's very, very good. Garrett Delaney, again, someone who can obviously hit a ball, but also bowls good leg spin. So they have a the 2 teams among the associate nations who play solid cricket, Netherlands and Ireland.
Harsha, you were telling me a very interesting story on Curtis Camphor.
I was on air actually. As it turned out, didn't know a lot about Curtis Camphor. I just knew that he was one of a whole group of players from South Africa who had moved out and who were playing for someone else. And he had an Irish passport. So he could also go and play for Ireland. And he took 4 and 4 in his World Cup debut, which likes of Lasith Malinga and the others have done. But he was playing against Niall O'Brien, who's one of these very gritty, in-your-face kind of Irish guys, who's a fun commentator, but I'm not sure he was a very fun player to play against. And while Curtis Camphor's 18-year-old, as he was going back to his mark, he just said to Niall O'Brien, he said, I've got an Irish passport. And Niall O'Brien said, you got an Irish passport? What are you wasting your time here for? So as soon as the game was over, they invited him into the Irish dressing room. I think Graham Ford was their coach then. And he said to Graham Ford, we've got to get this kid over. And within a year, he was playing for Ireland. His first game for Ireland was actually before he had played a game in Ireland. And they got him over to play for Ireland against England. He's played for South Africa under 19. But he's a proper hard-hitting bat.
Yes.
So he's one. Remember in the old days, South Africa always had these seam bowlers who are hard-hitting batters. I think he comes from that stock. So if you look at that middle there in that team with Harry Tector, Curtis Camphor, and George Dockrell, they've got some hard-hitting batters in there. Dockrell had vanished for a while.
Yeah.
I first saw him bowl left-arm spin. I said, "Wow, he can bowl." And the next thing I know, he's not playing, and he's reinvented himself as a
good part
hitter.
about the Irish team is they bat very deep.
They've got a whole lot of all-rounders.
Yeah, they bat very, very deep, which is one of their big strengths. And as I said, Netherlands and Ireland are the 2 good teams in the associate nation who actually can upset a few teams. And I wouldn't be surprised if they do.
Those two really, yeah.
Well, India is going to be playing 4 all-rounders today, and a lot of surprises in today's squad. Let's have a look at the 11. The big surprise there is they're going with 3 seamers, and there is no Kuldeep there.
I'm not at all surprised. It's wrong to say I think the world will be surprised. But somewhere I was just thinking, for India's mindset, Rahul Dravid and Rohit Sharma, the one thing that they've been harping on is batting deep. And you can only get that if you play Akshar Patel.
Yes.
Okay. And if you did watch Sri Lanka and South Africa play, you will know that there's a lot more for fast bowlers than spinners. It's okay to have 2-finger spinners. They need to just bowl 4 overs between them. So I feel leaving out Kuldeep, even though it's a tough call, is a very fair call considering what they need to achieve in New York. You have to understand there's a Pakistan game coming through, and it is a very fair call. Kuldeep is definitely going to start playing once they finish this and go into the Caribbean leg of the tournament. He will be there for sure. But right now, I do think this is a good team that they've picked. 3 medium pacers, 3 fast bowlers in these conditions is far more effective.
I like the idea of playing horses for courses. I think they've worked out that on this surface, the finger spinner who hits the deck is more likely to do something than someone who tosses it up. That's my feeling. But he's right. India desperately want to lengthen the batting. And so if you have Jadeja and Akshar at 7 and 8, 2 left-handers batting over there, it just lengthens the batting a little bit more. Otherwise, you have Kuldeep batting at 8. And while Kuldeep likes to talk about his batting, and I think there's a batter hidden in him somewhere, I think his bowling is his stronger suit.
And also, it's good to see 4 left-handers out of the top 8 who can bat. India has lacked that. And it is nice to see India...
One side is shorter today.
And one side
is 63, one side is 70.
See right and left happening throughout the innings. And these are positive signs for India. These are good signs for India.
Did you all think about that? I mean, since you've just come out of the IPL, about constantly having left and right? Because I saw numbers with teams like KKR and the others that 70 to 75% of the time, there was a left-right combination batting.
RCB
didn't have that luxury.
Didn't have the left-hander, correct?
Yeah, we didn't have the luxury. But ideally, if it had, I'm sure we'd have enforced that.
But also seeing Rishabh there at number 3, was that a surprise?
Very
is
nice.
That something
I
that
genuinely believe he is a very, very good player at number 3.
And also that left-hander coming up top. That
more than that, I think to get the best out of Rishabh Pant, number 3 or opening, number 3 still right now is the best. Only because he is someone who needs to come take 8 to 10 balls. No matter which innings you take, when he's been successful, 8 to 10 balls he needs to take. If he's around 6 to 8 run mark, once he gets going, he's a different player. But what he is actually not found easy going is if he walks in on the 12th over and he has to go from ball 2, ball 3, that's not his strength. If he's able to come in and play those 6 to 8 balls, even if you're chasing 200, with little less pressure, he's able to make up for it quickly. But what he is, and hence I feel it is a very, very good move by Team India.
DK, you know, the veterans and the experts, even before the squad was announced, had called it. So Simon and Harsha both called it.
Okay, you called Simon a veteran. Simon, you're a veteran. This clip is going to reach you. Simon is a veteran. Actually, it was Simon's call because I thought India's best number 3 in T20 cricket was Sanju Samson because of the ease with which he adjusts to that number. But what that would have done was your first left-hander would have been way too down the order, and you weren't even sure if with that setup, Shivam Dube would get a game. So you ran the risk of Jadeja becoming your first left-hander in the side. At which point, in all fairness, Simon said it. He said, but I think Rishabh at 3 would solve a lot of issues. And now you look at this lineup, you've got 2 right-handers, 2 experienced right-handers who play very good cricket. And then this guy, you really don't know what to expect. I mean, that 50 he got in the warm-up game was such a good 50. I think it also allows Sky to play at the number that he is best at. I don't know if you agree. But Sky at 4, I think it's just, for someone like me, it's just a more feel-good with Sky coming at 4. My thing with this order is Hardik in the best batting form to be that finisher at 6. We saw a little bit of that in the warm-up game, but is he in the best form to be that finisher at 6?
And those 3 sixes that he hit, so it just seems like he's coming in with good form in the warm-up game.
I hope the weight has lifted off his shoulders. The weight there was far, far too much happening around the team, around Hardik in the IPL. I just wonder if the weight has lifted off his shoulders.
But also, Hardik, all the trolling that he went through and then to come into the Indian jerseys, I think gives you just different kind of energy.
Yeah, it is different. It is. It's been a hard 3 months for him. And I'm sure that we will see a better version, someone who is having a lot more fun and playing at a position where he enjoys playing. And I just wish him all the best. I'd love for him to have a good World Cup.
But we can expect all this to end, the trolling and the booing and everything, because now it's the tricolour, it's the India jersey.
I mean, trolls are essentially very sad, unfortunate human beings. So I don't think it matters to them whether you're playing for A or playing for B. They just have to get up in the morning and vent their venom. So they're sad. Leave them sad.
Just ignore them. But what we can't ignore when we talk about India's campaign is that one man, Mr. Virat Kohli, because when we have a look at his numbers, your jaw drops, you say, wow. But when you kind of add context to these numbers, do you really realize how amazing his career has been? So this T20 World Cup, we are back with the Naukri career score. Naukri.com, India's #1 job portal, uses all his expertise in making sure that they have interesting ways in showing us these career scores. And the one who tops this list is none other than Virat Kohli. DK, he's that... #1 batter in T20s in the last 10 years.
I mean, not lightly to take the throne that he's sitting on. He's the king and he's there for a reason. What a player he's been for India. I can speak plenty about him. It's just the longevity, the way he trains off the field, all of that. But, one of the metrics that we do look at when we speak about this is situational awareness. And he has been a different level player. You just think of India, pressure, the first thing that you will think of is Virat Kohli in the last decade. And if you do see the metrics that they use, very, very interesting metrics. One that I really appreciate, because a lot of the stats that do come are very straightforward in terms of run, strike rate and all that. But the fact that there are different metrics, which is very incentivizing to a player and also values what a player has done over a period of time. These are the kind of metrics, situational performance. Longevity is not a metric that people actually understand, but it is a phenomenal skill to be able to be at the top of your game for a decade now. And if you just look at that scoreboard as well, 900 and the next person is so far behind. Just says how much he's dominated the white ball over a period of, whatever India's success has been over a period of 10 years now. He's been right at the helm.
Actually,
right
can we just pull that up again? Because DK referred to a couple of things that I've personally held dear for a long time too. We talk a lot about strike rates, and strike rate is a good parameter, but strike rate is very situational.
Yes.
Sometimes when you're batting first, it's a different beast than when you're batting second. If you're playing in a certain situation, you might need to play yourself in. You're playing a 140 game versus you're playing a 230 game. So strike rate is good, but much like the batting average, the strike rate needs to be looked at very, very carefully before you draw conclusions from it. That is why situational awareness is such a big thing. And nobody does that better than Virat Kohli. But I'm glad they've put in longevity in it.
Yes.
I remember saying that when Tendulkar retired, that of all the great things that Tendulkar did, to be able to play at that level from 1989 to 2013, to be good enough in a highly competitive environment, to be picked for your country, is something we take very lightly. I'm not saying it because this guy, just take him off frame. But to be able to play at a certain level, in his case from 2004 onwards, 2004 to now 2024, but also with Virat Kohli, don't forget, Virat Kohli started playing the IPL 2008, started playing for India 2009. To be good enough, to be fit enough, to be delivering at that level for so many years is a metric that we don't spend enough time on.
Yes, DK also, you spoke about that longevity. He's somebody who comes out time and again relentlessly against opponents. What is that secret sauce that he has?
Two things. I think the pursuit of excellence is what he is after every day. And he is someone who's constantly trying to prove people wrong. And it's been, inadvertent or a conscious effort. I think he finds reasons. Earlier, it used to be people sledging on the ground. He'll take them on. Then the whole cricketing ecosystem realized, oh shit, against this guy, let's not say anything. And nowadays, when he plays, it's a bit like a funeral. Everybody's quiet. Nobody's like picking a fight with him. He's just gone there. He just does his thing and just walks out. And he's told me personally that sometimes it gets boring when nobody's even talking.
He says that.
Yeah. And now he's, deriving. He's not deriving. He is consciously trying to, be aware of what's happening. I remember in Test cricket, people doubted him at the start.
Yes.
He came out and, proved people, and he's gone on to achieve whatever he's achieved. In ODI cricket, there's never been a doubt for a long period of time. But in T20 cricket, he took off. But there was a stage when there were things that other people are doing differently to what he was doing. The results were different. The whole outlook of the sport was different. The metrics began to change with every passing year. And there was no doubts that he was aware of a lot of it. And he's a clever guy, one who's always understanding how the sport evolves. And there was a fight between what he wanted to do but to what was happening. And I can proudly say that today he is in that space where he is won a big battle mentally, and how he's turned around things. It's been phenomenal to watch him go ahead and do what this orange cap that he got this year.
Yeah.
He did it in the last 8 games, what he did. Without Virat Kohli, that wasn't happening. And that is a special performance, one that he could take and keep very much in his locker and say, that's an orange cap I'm proud of. He really walked us into that playoffs. Phenomenal. Great man. Great attitude.
Very interesting what he said, because I don't know Virat anywhere near as well as he does, but I watched him very closely. You tell Virat, there's something you can't do. Or you tell Virat, you're not good enough at this. And then he's like a man possessed, because now he has to prove you wrong, right? And I think proving people wrong is his oxygen. I was almost suggesting in jest, I might have said it on this program as well, that just before he leaves, we must say, Virat, I think this T20 World Cup, you're past it now. I think you can't do well in this T20 World Cup. I don't think you've got it anymore. And just leave it there and say, I don't mind getting the jibes at the post-match conference. I don't mind anything, but he will go and prove me wrong.
Yes.
I think he needs an opponent. He needs someone. Steve Waugh was like that. There are many players who are like that. They just need to be in a one-on-one. And I think Virat is like that. But that's just one part of his persona.
You know, when we speak about Virat, I think we can go on and on just because of what he brings to the table. And we've seen that with the scores that Naukri.com have given us. Naukri.com knows everything about growing careers, and they've used these expertise to kind of make cricket stats interesting. So something we're going to be doing through the World Cup for India games. Do follow that. And like I said, besides Virat, we also have to talk about the captain himself, because we've seen him very emotional in the press conference when he spoke about Rahul Dravid. But he also spoke about how they don't want to look at things too far ahead. He's spoken about how he wants to look at one game at a time, and that's what he wants to focus on and not look too ahead.
Is the only way to play it now?
Yes.
It's a touch too cliched, I feel, but fair enough. As a captain, when you're doing so many press conferences, there's only that much you can say innovatively. I think he's been one of the funniest guys going around to attend press conferences even.
Oh, he was very funny because he also made a statement saying, when I went in for my immigration, it took us only 10 minutes at the US immigration. That's when I realized, we are going to do something big, because otherwise it takes forever at that immigration.
Nobody should ever train Rohit Sharma. Nobody should ever give him media training. Nobody. So just say, Rohit, just be yourself, because that is the one press conference everyone expects him to say something. And because he's so unfiltered, I think that's a word for him. Rohit is very unfiltered. He'll just say things that come to his mind because it's like we're sitting here, right? I know there are people watching us, but we are like friends chatting. Rohit Sharma at a press conference is like just chatting among friends. He's very funny.
But talking about Rohit Sharma just chatting, he also comes out and just chats on the ground, because I think his debut was in Belfast when he came and asked you what should happen. That's a story I'd like you to tell us.
This is a cold day in Ireland, Belfast.
It's always cold.
It is always cold, that's true. And he was walking in to bat for the first time. He had played a game where I think we won without him batting, but this is one of his first game in international cricket where he was batting, and as luck would have it, he was walking in, I was standing at the other end. He came, Andrew Hall was South African cricketer who was bowling at that stage. So he came and asked, DK, क्या चल रहा है? I said, मुझे पता नहीं, मुझे तो थोड़ा मुश्किल है, वो कुछ भी डाल रहा है, तू देख ले. Then he just walked off. But from that day, he said, कोई तो debut कर रहा है, ऐसा कोई बात करता है. Does anybody say, कुछ तो confidence दे दे. And it so happened that he got LBW also to that guy.
Oh, he got LBW to the same bowler.
He was even more angry at that stage. Like, इसके साथ batting करने का कुछ फायदा ही नहीं है. And that's where our friendship also started. And it was pretty, I told him honestly, like, I was struggling to play, and all the bowlers singing. He had a very unique action, one that came very quickly, and I didn't pick him much. So I said, मुझे पता नहीं कुछ तो चल रहा है, पर तू देख ले यार. I was there only for 4-5 balls. How much information I can give him?
Well, Rohit is known to be very forgetful. So let's hope that he forgets all the heartbreaks that India's had in the ICC tournaments, and he comes out all guns blazing. Let's quickly have a look at the teams again. India's first, if we can, because there were quite a few changes there. I mean, not changes, but just not the expected 11. Not seeing Kuldeep there. DK was pretty certain to see this playing 11. And Harsha, any other surprises there you feel, or you think?
No, I think it's a horses for courses side, and T20 is all about horses for courses players. What this lineup does is allows Siraj to bowl up in the power play. If there's any swing, he becomes you've stood 10 yards, 15 yards behind. If there's any swing, then Siraj becomes a different bowler.
10 I can't stand, he'll be upset, but 15 I can.
15, 10, 15. I just thought maybe on a slow you might be standing.
He bowls.
No, not him being slow. Slowish deck.
Okay.
But if there's any swing,
then
he'll be a very good bowler. It allows you to bowl Siraj up at the top. Allows you, Arshdeep gets the ball to swing very well too. You can finish with Bumrah and Arshdeep. Play the spinners and Hardik through the middle. So this gives a lot of flexibility to Rohit, the captain, this kind of lineup. if you play 3 spinners, which India will at some point in this tournament, then he'll have to figure out how to use his 2 lead seamers and Hardik a little better. This way, it gives him a lot of flexibility.
Yes.
But it is there is going to be a stage when he will have to have 3 spinners.
We'll also have a quick look at Ireland's playing 11 because we are running out of time now. But this is their playing 11. Like we said, a lot of experience filled in. And for Indian fans, we don't want any upsets at all. But for all our Cricbuzz fans, we need to do what we always do, is answer Mr. Bhattacharya's question. Let's have a look at the joy factor question of the day. Ishan Kishan is the only cricketer to record which achievement in ODIs that Mayank Agarwal, Vinod Kamli, Dilip Sardesai have achieved in tests. Which one other player doing even better? With one other player doing even better.
I don't know what's tougher actually, whether batting in New York or answering this question.
And today he's told us it's an easy one. It's a warm-up ball that he's bowled to us.
Oh, wow.
A dolly.
Harsha?
But I think we'll keep this guessing away. We'll talk about our guessing game. And I've been told that the rules have changed for this guessing game. Maybe incorporated
The other day I did that. I played a prank on Gaurav the other day. I said, look, you're top of the table, you start. And I picked exactly the same score.
Okay, so we can have multiple winners. But DK, why don't you go first?
I'll go first. Power play score, right?
No,
full.
no,
Full first inning score. 141.
What? Ireland's batting first.
Yeah, 141.
All right.
Why, you expected lower or what? No, it's a good side. In fact, I'm going a little higher because I don't quite know how it's going to play.
Yes.
If it plays a little better and 160 becomes a good score, so I'm going sort of 155, 156.
1-5 or 156 or 5?
156.
156.
I'd be very happy to be wrong because if I'm wrong, I'd be happy to be wrong on the short side, not on the long side.
You said 141.
41.
Just by going what I saw in the Sri Lanka-South Africa game.
Different pitch.
Yeah, but I mean, Bumrah, Arshdeep Siraj, I think I'm going to go 131.
Okay.
I think she wanted to go much lower, but she just...
Yeah, I got scared because you all went higher. But we'll find out because our prediction game, like you all saw all through the IPL, is very serious business. And this is something which I really want to win this time around. Why don't you all write
Can I change my number?
See, this is how serious it is. This is how
I need
serious
to
it is,
change.
guys.
I was just thinking 128 I'm going to go for.
Then I feel like changing mine again, but we don't have the time to sit changing.
128, 131.
We have to watch the match also, so we'll stick to it. Yeah. Because if we go on chatting, we'll be here for the Cricbuzz Combox. So I think we should now go, not change our scores again. But do join us at the 10 point of the Cricbuzz Combox. We'll be giving you all the updates there. That's all for now. Goodbye.